The article I'll be analyzing is called What Bonded Immigrants to Urban Machines, the Case of Jacob Avery in Chicago's 24th Ward, written by Perry E. Arnold in the Journal of Policy History. This article is written in Chicago manual style and uses footnote citations, as you can see here. Because the article is very long, the citations are not located on the same page as they would be in a standard research paper. They are located at the very end after the conclusion in one long notes page. This is helpful to the reader because big research articles like this one, there's a lot of sources, and having them all on each page would be very distracting for the reader. So where typically the footnotes would be, they're not there. There's kind of like a little disclaimer about the research. When quoting another work, the author uses quotations and block quotes that are prompted by phrases such as blank writes or he states, then is followed by the quote. And citations are a mix of integral and non-integral, having the majority be non-integral because most of the footnotes are used when paraphrasing another source. So as you can see here, he doesn't say blank rights immigrants were. He just states it and cites it. He doesn't really acknowledge the author. This paper has page numbers in the top left and right corners, followed by the title of the paper. This helps readers who either get lost or want to cite the work follow along correctly. This paper utilizes subheadings when beginning a point. This divides the paper up nicely and makes it easier to follow along or even skip around to new points. The most cited section is the 1936 primary, which is the last section before the conclusion. It has 23 citations within it. This paper also transitions back and forth between first and third person. Majority of the paper is written in third person because the majority of the paper is discussing the topic at hand, but there are 3 instances when the author refers to himself in his research and breaks the fourth wall. Right here, he says, I will examine the 24th Ward's political life in 3 dimensions. This is interesting because this doesn't really happen in historical papers, but it is a nice contrast between the formal and serious tone. Another interesting format tool is that he uses tables to explain election years that he is talking about. This is very useful because it makes it easier to read. If he would have just written this out and kind of explained the Democratic percentage of two-party vote in words, it would have been very hard to follow along. So he uses this as a tool to use. This is very unique, I think, because I don't really see tables like this in historical articles. So I just thought that was very interesting. Scrolling down to page 442. This article also utilizes historical jargon, like referring to events in a shortened way. For example, when he talks about the Great Depression, he simply says, as the Depression. This is appreciative because mainly the people who will be reading these type of texts probably have a good grasp on historical events already, so they probably already know the shorthand of words and events. This also shows that the author knows his audience and knows that he doesn't need to spell things out for his readers. Many transition words he uses are formal, and they make the transition from each point very smoothly. So right here he says, however. This is one of the most common words. Another common word is perhaps and although. Overall, this article, while it's very long, is very easy to read for someone in the history discipline. It uses Chicago style correctly and divides up each topic in a way to not confuse the reader and gives visual cues. So I'm going to scroll down so you guys can see the note page. So right here is the notes. And he has 129 sources.